It's Bigfoot Collectors Club with Bryce and Michael. I know a ghost story or two. Let's do this.
Hello and welcome back to Bigfoot Collectors Club, the podcast where we interview guests about their personal paranormal history and share stories of high strangeness. I'm your host, Michael McMillian, and with me always is your other host.
What's up, party people? It's Bryce Johnson.
Hey, Bryce.
How's it going, man?
And with us always is our trusty producer, Riley Bray. Say hi, Riley.
Hi, Riley.
How are you boys doing?
Oldest joke in the book.
Guys, I'm excited because today is the official launch of our Patreon campaign.
Oh, wow.
Which gives our trusty listeners a chance to support our program.
Yes.
Now, we currently produce a show out of pocket, so any support you can provide helps us greatly.
It's a labor of love.
It is a labor of love. And listen, I want to say, if you love our show, don't worry. It's going to stay exactly the same. In fact, I argue it's only going to get better, and it will remain free to enjoy on our main feed. Currently, we have 2 tiers available for you to patronize. That sounds bad. Yeah, that sounds bad.
Don't patronize me.
No, don't patronize me. But for your patronage, for $1 a month. $1 helps pay for our guests' coffee and simultaneously boosts your Bigfoot karma, which means that for $1 a month, your chances of seeing Bigfoot in the wild just go up just a notch.
It increases.
It increases. Any little help for you to see Bigfoot, increase your chances. That is a dollar well spent. That's just $12 a year.
And that's just a scientific fact.
That's just scientific fact, exactly.
Yeah.
And we all know that we are big on science and facts on this podcast.
That's right.
And then for $5 a month, you will get access to all of our bonus content. This includes 3 to 5 bonus shows a month and posts. You think that going to conservatory for 7 years to learn the arts, I could stop popping my peas. Oh boy! But anyway, there will be posts exclusive to the Patreon page. Bonus shows will include post episodes, extended discussions, special reports, and on-location field trip episodes like the Battle of LA episode we did a few weeks back, which was badass. Riley worked so hard on that, putting together all those special sound effects and music and gunfire. It was fun for everybody.
Yeah, great episode.
But that's it. We're going to keep it really simple right now. And I want to say thank you to everyone out there who has already downloaded, listened, and just shared this show. We really appreciate it, and we really look forward to watching this community grow. So hop over to patreon.com, support Bigfoot Collectors Club today, and thank you so much for listening. We love you guys. This is so fun, and we are so excited that we have the opportunity to expand our programming. But that's it. It's time for today's show. Bryce,
yes,
who is our guest this week?
Oh, man, I'm so excited to introduce. This is a great friend of mine and a star of the new film Once Upon a Superhero. It's ADAM MARCINOWSKI, ladies and gentlemen. Let's give it up. Adam, how are you, man?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm great, man. Adam and I did a short film, I guess maybe like 5+ years ago, called Lucidia.
Time flies by.
I know it does, but it was about lucid dreaming. And
oh, cool.
Yes, a subject which I love. And yeah, they needed to find a guy bigger than me to beat me up. So
I haven't seen you guys stand back to back, so I'm not sure who's bigger.
Well, there's one guy perfect for the job, and that's
easy
Adam.
cast. Easy cast.
Yeah.
But can he take on Riley?
I don't know. Yeah, I know. I want to like get him side by side and take a picture of him.
Adam, let's see. How tall are you? Hey guys, let's just whip him out.
Well, let's see. I am 6'5" and 3/4.
Oh
Yeah.
wow,
I
Riley.
like to throw the 3/4 out there.
I'm 6'7" and a half.
Oh wow, that's amazing.
He's way buffer and in better shape.
Well,
So,
he is a barrel-chested, strapping.
It's a toss-up.
Either way, Mike, we got Bigfoots for our next Bigfoot movie if we need them.
No joke. Yeti versus
You've got
Bigfoot.
whether it's a stand-in or the main actor, we'll just trade back and forth.
Right.
It doesn't really matter.
Adam, you have the build of like a strong, drunk father from the 1940s.
Let's find that. Let's find that. Let's write it.
Yeah.
Shoot it.
That's
Make
great.
it happen.
Yeah.
You could be like, you could be one of those old-timey Venice Beach.
You know, that's interesting because the 30s and 40s, man, when they dressed up, those characters back then. Oh.
Yeah, you'd be perfect for that.
You literally just flexed your arms thinking about it.
I just saw my veins pop out of my neck. My vascularity increased. I'm like,
Oh, man. Well, Adam, we're so excited to have you on the show. Before we get to your personal paranormal history, I have some BCC news.
Great.
According to an article from mysteriousuniverse.org, an Oregon woman has discovered an old futon with a Bigfoot print on it.
Oh.
And this is directly from the article I'm reading here. Bigfoot researcher Cliff Barrickman says on his blog that he was contacted on February 16th, 2018 by an unnamed woman who claimed to have found a discarded futon mattress along Oregon Route 36 with unusual footprints on it.
I know Cliff. He's
yeah,
the one that
of
gave
course.
us our
exactly. That's why I'm bringing him up. I was waiting for you to mention that you guys are buddies.
Yeah, he's legit.
So this is on Cliff's blog, and this is reported by
awesome.
mysteriousuniverse.org. The witness contacted Barrickman via email with pictures attached of the futon, which was left on the roadside. Now, unfortunately, Cliff was out of town at the time and was concerned that the sheet would be damaged by incoming inclement weather picked up by someone who needed a bed. So Barrickman contacted fellow Sasquatch researcher Chris Minier. Do you know Chris Minier?
I believe I might.
Might.
Yes.
That sounds like a no.
No, I don't.
This is like one of those social awkward
Well, I might have met him.
conversations when you're like at a party and people are like, "Oh my God, 3 Above Boards was so great," and you're like, "Yeah," and you're lying, you haven't seen it.
When we did Willow Creek, I met so many Bigfooters. It's hard to. But I don't recall Chris Minier is his last name.
Minier, Minnier.
I know Flippy. What's up, Flippy?
What's up, Flippy? Who's Flippy?
Oh, he's like, dude, that's a whole other episode.
Hey, you can't just use our podcast to send secret shout-outs to Flippy.
I'll shout him out.
Fair enough. So Minier contacted the witness and eventually located the mattress. Minier photographed and video recorded the futon and the footprints, took measurements, then cut the fabric, removed them, and took them home for further inspection. He notes that there was an obvious impression made into the mattress covering by whatever made the prints. He says he plans to use the cloth in the photos to make 3D models of the footprints with the help of Bigfoot researcher and foot morphologist Dr. Jeff Meldrum at Idaho State University. All of this analysis will help determine if the prints are real or an elaborate hoax. And they said in the article, let me hop over to it, that the here we go. The foot sizes were 13.75 inches for the right foot and 13 for the left foot.
Wow.
The stride length was 48 inches and the width was 6 inches at the ball of the foot. Barrickman commented that the wide splay of the toes indicated to him that the owner of the feet had never owned shoes.
Yeah, I think I saw this maybe on his Instagram account or something.
Oh, cool,
I think he might have already cast it.
Cool.
But it was an intriguing cast, to say the least.
Well, I'm going to look for those photos. We'll throw it up on all the accompanying image displaying pages.
I know me, like when I'm walking around, if I see like a mattress, I'm going to bounce on that as I'm walking by. It just seems fun. Why wouldn't Bigfoot do that?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I like the idea that they can tell that the person has never worn shoes before by the way the feet are splayed out.
Yeah, no doubt. And
I didn't know that was part of foot science, but that makes sense.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, well, so that's what it is.
I love that.
Cliff's got his blog, and Thomas Powell, who's another researcher.
Sure, heard of him.
They have many photos and prints on their blog so people can judge for themselves. A futon was found near Barrickman's residence, so it's a good bet he'll be looking for the owner of the footprints.
That's
I just
awesome.
want to ask our guests if either of them have been running around Oregon State Freeway 36 highway without shoes on recently.
No.
Because judging from those foot sizes, it might have been one of you guys.
possibility.
Well, yeah.
I am wearing shoes currently, though.
That's true.
So that does.
But how do now that you mention it, I don't recall if I've ever seen you wear shoes before this.
Their feet are a little narrow. I think of the picture I've seen. This thing was a big, wide foot, and it's sort of never unique to its own in that sense. I mean, it was definitely a pretty unique print.
I just love that somebody found an old futon with a giant print on it.
I know, it's so cool. We got to get
What
him on
other
the show.
items are out there that have been crushed or stepped on by Bigfoot? What other man-made items that we don't know about?
Well, I was going to say that's probably the first for a casted footprint that's not in like some mud or boggy creek. I mean, that's got to be an original mattress footprint, you know?
Yeah.
One of a kind.
And this is in Oregon, right?
Yeah, this is where he lives up in Oregon, I believe.
Yeah.
You're from Washington, aren't you?
You have some of the most dense forests in Washington State and Oregon. I mean, there are places there that human beings haven't been.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I want to know, how did that futon get there? Everyone's wondering, how did Bigfoot come here? How did that futon get there?
Well, Bigfoot left for college, and he wanted a couch and a bed.
Yeah.
Makes sense to me.
I wish we could still rock just futons all the time as men in our 30s and 40s.
Oh no, I'm glad to have a nice bed, and my futon days are over.
I'm just gonna go back to futon. I'm just gonna lay all my apartment out with futon mattresses.
just
everywhere.
bring it back.
Yeah, bring it
It's like,
back.
this is my
Yeah.
futon couch, my futon bed, my
So-
futon chair,
Yeah,
my
right.
futon dinner table.
Yeah,
my futon blender.
Yeah, it would be
Chicks
so
love that.
That would be like, God, you're so awesome.
I have a 42-inch flat screen futon. So Adam, you're telling us about the forests of your native lands
man, yeah.
and how thick and dense they are.
Yeah.
This is a very homoerotic episode.
It was how you set that up was perfect. It's like ... ellipses. Oh yeah.
No, I've been up there, man. It is fascinating and it is surreal. I mean, you often think that the world is so populated, but when you're flying over areas like that or even walking through them, you get it.
It's almost as if when you're driving down the 5 and you look at the trees and the darkness of the trees and you see the clouds setting over them and you're like, that's where I want to be if I didn't want to be around anybody.
No doubt about it. It would be easy to escape in those woods.
I sometimes think about, when I'm thinking about Bigfoot, about how there's got to be just wild men living out there, just people who are completely off the grid, who've just disappeared, that are just being old school mountain men and weirdos.
Absolutely, there are.
There has to be. Why don't we have more encounters of people seeing just like wild, regular people living out in the woods?
That's a great point.
Is it because it's so inhospitable, or...
It is inhospitable. You got to be a survivalist, and you got to know those woods in order to parlay more than a week. I mean, my God.
But if you think of human history, like we're talking about shoes, right? And
Yeah.
how that Bigfoot image, whatever that was cast on that futon, never wore shoes. Now, human beings, we take warm showers.
Mm-hmm.
That's a phenomena that's only been around, for about 1,500 years, whatever, okay?
Sure.
Less, or you went to hot springs. The human body's been weakened by technology.
I agree with that.
So what I'm trying to say, someone like Bigfoot could probably survive in the elements better than we could.
Oh, of course.
Well, there's no doubt.
I mean, there's no doubt. I mean, they.
I mean, a Bigfoot's foot is basically a shoe that's just a foot. Don't you think? Don't you? If you got down there and looked at the bottom of that foot, it would be like a 13-inch tire tread. You know what I mean? It would be super gnarly and tough.
And when I think of Bigfoot, I think about how strong he probably is.
Oh God, yeah.
His wrist strength and his pure muscularity. Because you look back in the warriors of the 13th, 14th century, their weapons were huge.
Yeah.
And very heavy. And I once talked to this guy who said, I wonder how strong those guys were. He goes, back then, their grips probably could have killed you.
Yeah, well, that reminds me of those in 1958. Jerry Crew, where this whole thing kind of got started on those trackways when they first started discovering them. A lot of those loggers, they were reporting their wire spools, which are probably around 500 to 600 pounds, being tossed from the woods. And so there's tremendous strength there.
That's so interesting.
I'm so the opposite of Bigfoot. That one time I tried when I was a kid, hopping over a creek during a game of tag, and there was one of those old wire spools in there, and I thought I was gonna be like Indiana Jones and jump from one end to the edge of the creek across it, and then get across, and be like Super Mario style. And I jumped, and then the wire spool tipped. Oh. I fell into the water, and then an old rusty nail went right in my kneecap. So
epic fail.
I have no Bigfoot genes.
Me neither. I mean, look at me. I hop a backyard fence, and I lacerate my heel, break my heel, spray, and I'm wearing a a boot.
Yeah, I think
So it's
Adam
like,
might be onto something.
I do not
Adam,
have.
what is your personal paranormal history? Have you ever encountered anything that you could not explain?
Well, this is kind of a personal story, but I might as well talk about it since we are live.
Yeah, this is the
Listen,
place.
and just to make you feel better, one of the things we've been learning is that all of these stories tend to be personal to a degree. At the very least, that it is often feels embarrassing. It's not to share some of this
The
stuff.
story really isn't embarrassing. I think it's more of like
Well, we'll be the judge of that.
Okay, so back in 1994 was when my grandpa passed away. And I remember that night and morning very vividly. It's probably one of my most vivid memories in my life up to this date. And I'm 40 years old. But so the night of, I was downstairs in my bed. I had like this den downstairs, where all teenage kids, have their den, the TV room and stuff like that. And I remember listening to my parents having a conversation that my grandpa wouldn't make it through the night. And when you're young, you don't really understand. I think when you get older, you understand mortality, death more. I think we all understand that. And so the night, everyone went to sleep. And I woke up in the middle of the night. And I saw, for some reason, I don't know why, I just woke up. I saw this light in the corner of my den. There's a dividing wall, and then there's a light that's over by the staircase. I thought it was my dad with a flashlight. When a flashlight shines on a wall, you're like,
Sure.
oh, someone's coming around the corner, and then the light comes around. And this light on the side of the wall by my door, it got bigger and bigger and bigger and brighter and brighter and brighter.
Almost
And
as
I-
if it was getting closer and the
Yeah.
reflection
And I'm
was
like,
getting more intense.
Dad, I'm awake. I'm not dreaming.
Mm-hmm.
I'm awake. The light turns, shines on me. For a moment, I was like, and then all of a sudden, I was like, this encompass, what's the word I want to use? This, I was enveloped with like light and love.
Mm.
And so I saw images on the wall, on the window, images of my grandpa and I always used to go to Husky football games because that's a big thing. I played football for the Huskies. Throw that in there, just kidding. but I'm saying I'd see these images on the window. I woke up on the couch. I woke up that morning on the couch. In 1994, I was made fun of a lot in high school, and I'll get to that in about 30 seconds when I end the story. So I wandered upstairs, and I was just like you almost had experienced something beyond what your capacity for understanding is. And I sat down at the table, and my mom serving me breakfast. My dad was home one day, and I remember I turned to my dad and I go, "Hey, Dad, I think Grandpa came to visit me last night." And he goes, "He probably did."
Mm.
Because he passed away. And I remember that day at school was like the best day ever. It's almost as if I just got a break.
Wow.
Wow.
So I remember like floating through school that day going, it's like you experienced something that you didn't quite comprehend. But now I do, because I believe in that stuff. I believe that love is very powerful. It's our conduit to God.
Sure.
Yeah.
And you guys understand that too. When you love someone so deeply,
I absolutely do.
there is absolutely that connection that goes beyond your physical realm. As I ripped the microphones off and
Well, no.
He was in such a good mood, and then he just stormed out of here.
We have talked about this stuff before, and this isn't the first type of story we've heard like this, where when somebody so close to somebody passes, and the first thing, it's almost like there's a window where they're allowed to
Check in and say
to
goodbye.
check in, to provide relief
absolutely
to their loved ones, and it's happened in my family, and I mean with Brittany Ishibashi, our last guest, and it's stuff like this is like it.
She said that there was, in the Japanese culture, I think she said there was like a 3-day window. Was that Brittany who was telling us about that? Where the spirits linger for 3 days before moving on to the next world. And it's sort of a time period for them to come at peace and say goodbye with the loved ones in their lives. I wanted to ask you a quick question. That's an awesome story.
Yeah.
You said you saw images on the window. What did you mean? Like you saw images of you and your grandfather
This
on the
is
window?
crazy, but I saw images of the writings of 1st and 10,
What's that?
1st and 3rd and 2. That's the downs for football.
Oh, you saw that written on the...
Like they would pop up.
Yeah.
Weird.
I saw images of football fields,
Oh, wow.
and everything was, I was just like, this was just, I can explain it now, but when I was a kid, I was like, unbelievable,
Did it look like a faint reflection, or
It
was
was
it like...
it was a reflection, like I was watching a big screen TV,
Whoa.
but it was my window
Weird.
to the outside, and we had these big dark windows that looked out in the forest
Right.
in Washington. I mean, these things were huge windows, and I was
Yeah.
frightened as a kid. Like, I would sit and watch TV,
Oh.
and when the lights turned on inside the room,
Yes.
and on the outside it's all dark. You don't know what's out there, what's looking in.
I
That- you
still
still
got to
that
close all my
feeling
windows.
very well.
That still frightens me.
Yeah.
Today, like I there's something about that. Someone looking at you that you can't see them. There's always something interesting about. That's a fear.
Yeah.
Like
We had French doors and still do in my parents' house that are big windows. And actually, my childhood bedroom was on the ground floor, and my windows for a good while before they installed blinds and curtains. All these windows looked out into the woods.
Right.
And so
Right.
I just remember, like you, sitting at home in the living room and looking and just knowing that the woods were right there in the edge of the forest. And even though they weren't very deep, they were just ran a few acres. It was enough as a kid that you're like, what is out there in the woods and what can see me?
Yeah.
But that story is so great. And I had an experience when I was a kid. I'd had a really rough day. And I remember going to bed crying and feeling really bad. And in the middle of the night, it didn't feel like a dream. It felt like I woke up with my eyes closed and I'd sat up in bed. And when you close your eyes and you look at a bright light and it's sort of orangey red because it's the light coming through the blood vessels in your eyelids. And I remember sitting up and feeling this other presence in the room, which for a kid who was, forced to go to Presbyterian Sunday school every Sunday, it felt what I could only define at the time as like a Jesus force. It was this overwhelming force of love that was, just like you said, pouring into me, and this reassuring voice saying everything's going to be okay. And I remember just experiencing that intense sensation of love.
Yeah. Well,
And like you said, it felt like a conduit to God or a higher power.
So interesting,
And I fell
yeah.
back to sleep, and I felt so much better. Like your story really resonated with me because I haven't heard a lot of people
it literally
describe
makes
that.
me. I had to hold back there. It literally makes me the images make me kind of emotional.
Yeah,
like
sure.
you. Obviously I don't want to do.
You would
that,
not
but-
be the first person to cry on this show, please.
Yeah.
But,
but
what's interesting is, like, to the contrary, your grandfather passes, and that next day is going to be pretty harrowing and sad and tragic. But you say the opposite. I mean, that next day you were carried, you were lifted, like a
Floating.
floating. You said, and so what is that?
It's
to
as
you?
if the
Unpack that for
kids
me a little bit.
it's if the kids that gave me a hard time for 185 days of school,
Right.
that one day it wasn't there.
Well, what do you think that is? Do you think that was maybe a confirmation of the afterlife, or is you a confirmation of something greater than
I think
our
it's,
material reality?
I think it's the latter, the confirmation of the material reality. I think that it's really hard to say what I think. It's more about how I felt.
I
And
totally
I felt
get
at
it.
peace. I think it's not so much how you feel here in your head, it's in your heart.
Yeah.
And I know that's kind of everybody says that, but
No, the words fail us so often when we try and describe these things.
yeah,
mean,
I could describe it with colors, like if I had a board, like how I felt.
Sure.
It's
But-
going to be hard for a podcast.
But you know what I think about also too, though, with these stories,
Yeah.
is it makes me realize, like, if that pure love, because it does exist, there is the opposite.
Yeah.
There is darkness. You know what I'm saying? And I think that in your life, you have a choice. And whatever you believe in, whatever that is, God gave you choice. Because I believe in God. Some people don't, but I believe that the bitch of this all is choice.
Yeah.
I thought you were gonna say,
Yeah.
I believe the
You
bitch
can
upstairs is calling the shots.
You can either
Yeah.
live your life for yourself, or you can serve and be a force for others. And I think by doing the latter, I think you can live a much more of a quality, rich life.
I agree. One of my favorite quotes, from
Yeah.
Albert Einstein, and I'll paraphrase a little bit, but he was like, one of the most important decisions we can make every day when we wake up is to literally decide if this is a beautiful world or if this is a horrible world.
Exactly.
And so we have to take that into account with how we deal with this world. Because I totally agree. I mean, we all have the ability to grasp onto to what's good, what's light, and we also have the ability to grasp onto what's dark and what's tears us down. And the world is a little bit of both. Especially today, it's such a God. All you got to do is turn on the news and just
Sure.
And
You don't even have to turn on the news. You just have to pick up your phone.
you're not kidding.
But let me
man.
ask you guys
It's-
really fast, because I was thinking about this concept. The light is hard to see sometimes. There's that lyric by the Indigo Girls. What is it? I can't believe I'm bringing the Indigo Girls.
No, it's good.
Where it says darkness is insatiable.
Yeah,
The light is hard to feel.
yeah.
And I there's something to that.
No, I think look, there's a lot of we can point to immediately Star Wars as a modern myth that deals with this. Like Yoda talks about Empire Strikes Back, that Luke says, is the dark side more powerful? And he says, no, faster, easier. That it is, I think there is something that perhaps because we're living here in the third dimension, that some of the darker feelings are easier to access than some of the higher consciousness feelings.
Oh my
I
God,
think
yes.
people
You're
can
absolutely right.
find feelings of jealousy, greed, anger, so much easier, especially in the materialistic system that we're living in. Those things are so much closer to our fingertips than love and walking a higher path. I think it's difficult to walk a higher path. I think that we even have so difficult that we have certain religious constructs that are like, you can only walk this path and you have to deny all. They're so afraid of everything being something that might be on the lower path. So we get a lot of mixed messages too. I think it's tough, and we're just mentally, spiritually, physically, there's so much junk in this world that drags us down.
I agree. And to deny that shadow self of our parts, Carl Jung was a big believer that we have to uncover that shadow side of us, because it exists in all of us. When we see those fear, those jealousy, that's just our projection of our fears and our jealousy onto others is too. So we have all that within inside us, and to deny it or to pretend it doesn't exist is a disservice to your mental health, I think. So, but I'm not saying to. You just have to look at it and try and unpack it a little bit. I think we all have work to do, you know what I mean, to figure out how we want to live our lives,
It is funny. I mean, I think people, we talk, there are apps that are literally set up for people to find love. You know what I mean?
Right.
Which goes against the whole process. Because I'll tell you this right now, those dating apps, coming from someone who's not married right now in this life, I'm actually dating a girl who I met on an app, which is amazing. But that's rare. This is a rare
I think I
occurrence.
smell a hypocrite.
No. But you never know. But I'm just saying, like the fact of the matter is this: finding a mate or finding the soulmate was never meant to be flipping a thumb. Finding a soulmate was about getting the balls to go ask somebody out, and they'd say no. So you come back a week later, you ask them again, they say no. You come back a week later, will you go out with me? She says, okay, fine. You're married for 30 years.
Well, wait a minute. That also sounds. I think there's problems with that model too, because that sounds like you're badgering a woman. It's I'm going to break this woman's.
But there's approach to
Sure.
Look.
From personal example, I've been married 18 years now.
I have issues with that.
when I was dating my wife, there was no text. There was no even any of that. And I often tell this story. It was literally love at first sight, and it was a hookup from my buddy.
Will you tell this story, because you've told me this story, and it is just that you can tell this story.
Absolutely. So
it's so nice.
It was really just a hookup from
so
my
nice.
buddy, one of my best friends, Johnny Hawks. He was just like, he's from
I know Johnny.
He's from Vancouver, Canada, and
all the Canadians love those guys.
I know, me too. And
Is Johnny Hawks a falconer?
No. So he was dating
How
a
many
girl
jet
up
skis
there.
does he have?
All right, hold on here. He was dating a girl up there, and he was just like, hey Bryce, I think we got a girl that you might like. When you come up, you should meet her. And I was on a show. I was like, yeah, bring her on. I'll hook it up. Let's do it. No big deal. And so we drive up to Vancouver, and she worked at the same kind of a sporting restaurant that my friend Johnny's girlfriend did, and so I'm waiting. I could really care less. Just another girl. I'm like, yeah, bring it on. Whatever. Sure. We'll have fun. But she walked through the door, and she came to the little house party that Johnny's girlfriend Jody was having at the time. And time kind of, I saw her out of the corner of my eye, and things really just kind of slowed down. And I just kind of looked at her, and I was just taken. I was maybe smitten. But something very profound had an energy. And anyway, so I talked to her a little bit. She sat next to me, and we got to talking. And I think she left that night, and she was like, well, let's go on a date tomorrow night. And so we did, and we were just talking. It was like on this whole other level. And then so the third day, we went down to this great beach called Wreck Beach. Now, this is a beach where people do, all kinds of drugs, because you have to descend 500 steps to get to this thing. And if the cops come down it, the local hippies, they play the theme song to Hawaii Five-0 on their drums, so they know to hide their stash, right?
So great.
And so I'm on a little bit of mushrooms, and I was just like, I got this profound thing. I was like, you're gonna marry that girl, and I was just like, whoa. And it was so profound. I got these images of her in my 63 Chevy Nova. I was like, God, she looks good in that car. And I was just like, yeah, this all makes sense. And I was like kind of tears in my eyes. And I go up to this kind of homeless guy who's sitting on a log. I'm like,
there's always a homeless guy sitting on a log in Vancouver.
And I was like, hey man, you witnessed something really beautiful. And he's like, all right, man, way to go. I married her.
Yeah.
She's my son.
You guys have been together, what, 17 years?
Eight, God, almost married, 16, 17, together 19.
Would you say when you saw her the first time, the first moment you were
love
with
at
her,
first sight.
love at first, you could act, if she asked you, do you love me? You would say, I love you. You would have said, yeah.
It was, I often talk about this, and I'll try and unpack it with her sometimes. And I'm like, do you think we maybe made a deal in a former life? Do you think we've known each other before?
That's a possibility.
And I often say, hey, I'll search you out in the next life too.
She's like, well, let's see. 3 lifetimes ago, you asked me out. I said no. 2 lifetimes ago, you came back. I was like, get away from me. Gross.
Right.
Last lifetime, I was like, listen, if you find me in the next lifetime, I will go out with you.
But you talk about
That's
this energy of
be.
love, and there's something that I can't explain with the normal 5 senses that we're given on what that was.
Well, you think about love, what type of energies involve love? Love is there's strength.
Yeah.
There's commitment. There's honor. All energies that are positive, right? That come with love.
It's a very high vibration.
It's a very high vibrational entity.
Yeah.
And then the words like hate, contempt.
Yeah.
That's low, that's low vibrational stuff. And you think to yourself like the element of fear. People fear things, and they fear things about life, making choices, decisions. There's no love in that.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Oh,
you know where that's at? That's right here, and
it's guttural.
It's guttural, and it prevents you. It prevents me sometimes. I'm only telling you what I experience.
Yeah.
I'm not saying this is I'm telling you from someone who struggles on a daily basis on getting out of his own way.
Yeah.
And this is fucking, excuse me, as I beep, beep, beep.
Oh, good.
No,
We
but
are an
this
explicit
is
podcast.
spiritual warfare. We go through it every single day. I think one thing, I remember when I first met Bryce, I loved you, man, because you're so positive.
Oh, thanks,
You have this
man.
positive energy about you that makes you want to hang out. You know what I'm saying? Makes you want to work with.
Yeah, I
Do you know
appreciate
what I'm saying?
that.
And I think that's a lot of the reason why certain people want to work with certain people, because they bring an element of love, strength, honor to a project, to a business, to friendship.
Well, I appreciate
You know
that,
what I'm
man.
saying? So it's like,
Absolutely.
that's why-
My
that's why I was
attraction to
so-
Bryce is purely physical.
Yeah. No, but that's why I was so excited, and especially the content. To me, I'm like, if I'm going to spill guts about personal experiences in life, this is where I want to do it.
Yeah, we open it up in
I
here.
mean,
We're not afraid to.
My dad, I told my dad yesterday. I go, Dad, I'm going to be on a podcast. He goes, well, tell him about my sighting in Hawaii.
Oh, let's hear that.
Yeah, and he's been talking about it for what, 15 years.
A sighting of what? What did your father see?
He saw, he saw what we would call, unidentified flying object, UFOs.
Sure.
But he said it changed his life. He was having heart problems. This image happened. He saw all these images up in the air, and then he had heart problems, and it got all fixed up. But the timing of it was quite interesting. And he wants to make an animation of what he exactly saw, but what he saw literally made him emotional. Now, I wish I had pictures and images to show you, but what he said he saw goes to show that there is other things out there, and there's other amazing things. And he goes, you never know, they might have been angels.
Yeah. Yeah.
Was he seeing craft, or was he seeing lights, colors? What was
craft morphing into different shapes? Yeah. A lot of people see that stuff.
That's pretty common.
Performing maneuvers that our aircraft cannot do.
Yeah.
Almost as if they're being controlled by some sort of, thought.
Sure.
And I think there's something about that. I mean, I don't know if you guys experience this sometimes, but it's so hard to find the ways to explain this or illustrate these images. I mean, that's why.
Well, absolutely. That's what we love talking about. We love unpacking, because we've often mentioned the parallels of, like, and there's other authors who do so, but, like, the spirit and the fairy world, angels, demons, aliens. I mean, Bigfoot. I mean, is there a connection here? Are these things experienced through the user? That is there a parallel to these things, or are they all different on each of their own? Who's to say that that these lights in the sky aren't some angelic provisioners?
But Bryce, you've done your research. You know your stuff, and so have you about Bigfoot and the realm.
Sure.
I'm going to say I have.
Yeah.
Because I have this podcast.
But I'm saying, like,
it's so true.
It's a work in progress.
The Native Americans.
Yeah.
You talk to a Native American, he'll say, "Oh yeah, we've known about Bigfoot that's part of our."
Well, and it's not taboo whatsoever, and they don't shy away from discussing what they know to be true. Indigenous tribes all over the world.
They're like, it's a matter of fact. Yeah, of
it's
course.
just a matter of fact, and a lot of them say it's their ancestors. So when you talk about your grandfather, and this vibes very well with indigenous tribes across the world saying, no, those are just our ancestors, and they speak to us, and they give us messages from beyond on healing.
Exactly.
On medicine, and on all different kinds of information that you're just not privy to on just a normal day-to-day basis. It's fascinating stuff. It really is. And I think it requires it would be great if our society kind of was a little bit more open to it, because I don't think that it's exclusive to you're either a science guy or you're a UFO guy. I mean, the people love to divide the classes, but I think that I think there's room for both.
But I'll tell you what, that information is free.
Yeah. What do you mean by that?
Well, if you get ancient information on how to heal yourself.
Yeah, that's right.
That's pretty inexpensive.
Well, that's the thing. Is like
as opposed to going down to CVS.
I was reading about DNA the other day, and what science, they'll all agree that we really only use about 3% of the DNA, and the rest they call it junk DNA. Now a DNA strand is about 10 atoms wide and about 2 meters long, scrumpled up into something so minute it would be like putting 50 miles of kite string into a shoebox. So to say that other 97% is junk, it's just saying, well, somebody's not doing something right. And, I would proffer that within that other 97% is encoded probably the whole of human history. Who knows? But I'm pretty sure that you can't just call it junk.
What else could you stuff 50 miles of kite string into?
but let me ask you guys really fast, though. Is some of that DNA... Like, I believe this. I truly believe this. Not from this world.
Yeah.
What is this? The cosmic panspermia?
Yeah,
Panspermia?
I Instagrammed this the other day. Francis Crick, who was the discoverer and Nobel Prize winner of the double helix structure of the DNA molecule, he went on so far as to say, listen, there is no way that this stuff is so complex, so amazing that the chance of this just evolving out of a primordial soup 3.5 billion years ago, there's more of a chance of a Boeing 707 being put together by a hurricane in a junkyard. So he's saying, and he
That's
actually,
a good analogy.
you know, he said it. He said, this is obviously, I believe, and and people listen because, well, he's a Nobel Prize winning biophysicist. He went on to say in one of his latter books, I can only conclude that this must have been sent here through an alien civilization. Maybe they were experiencing some sort of supernova explosion, and the best way to compact all that information, it would be in a bacteria.
I think in Supernatural, the Graham Hancock book we talk a lot about, I think towards the end of that, they talk about the idea of some of this DNA perhaps arriving on the tail of a comet from a far out.
Right, so there's kind of two classes. There's the
Sorry.
Oh, no, I was going to say, so there's like intentional panspermia, which is like an alien civilization is sending out their code.
Well,
much
who's
like
to say
Superman.
they're not shooting it on the back of a comet?
Right, much like
know.
Superman. And then there's unintentional panspermia, which would be just like,
Is panspermia the correct term?
Yeah, I believe so.
I'm going to Google this, make sure
And then,
that we don't sound...
an unintentional panspermia
complete
would just be
lunatics.
like, they're not doing it to send out their thing. They're just, like you said, on the comet, there's some bacteria.
Well, and then this is then I also hear this, and it's an argument for like, boom, God, boom, intelligent design. Like if that there wasn't enough time for this DNA to evolve as far as it did, that it must have been created. But I love the idea of this stuff being so ancient that it came to us through the stars, basically impregnated the cosmic soup of our planet and the primordial soup of our planet. And then from that came single-celled organisms that evolved. And then the cool thing that they talk about in like Daniel Pinchbeck's work and Graham Hancock's work is that then the plants, the psilocybin plants and the ayahuasca ceremonies, these ancient shaman ceremonies that we've talked about, the plants are there to teach us how to access this higher intelligence that we have inherited from our interdimensional or interstellar ancestors.
No, those
which
tribes
I love that stuff, because if you were an advanced alien race or a higher intelligence and wanted to drop clues to people on how to use this stuff, you're not going to put it in a book. You're not going to write it on a stone tablet. You put it in the plants. You put it in the life forms that are around you, and then you engage with the life forms around you in certain ceremonies, and then you unlock those.
Well, it's how the Native Americans spoke to their gods.
Yeah.
Mushrooms and ayahuasca. Now, those terms are thrown around loosely, like, oh, let's go do some mushrooms and ayahuasca. But you talk to some people, I mean, you got to be careful doing that stuff, because it reveals to you what you might not want to see.
Well, no, it's absolutely true. I couldn't agree more. What was I going to say? I'm pretty sure that's the correct term.
Riley's
I see
Googling
Michael's
for me,
like, look that up for me.
Well, because I'm not. I thought I was on the old Wi-Fi.
But no, those especially in those ayahuasca, those brews, they botanists will go down to the South American Peru, and they'll be like, how do they know the vast encyclopedic knowledge of these plants? And there's no way, because it's not like you just pull off the ibogaine tree and brew it up. You have to make like a mixture. Like it's almost like this profound recipe.
Yeah.
And then there's like, the odds of just stumbling upon, how to make this stuff is next to nil, So there's definitely, and they'll say it, hey, these are our teachers. We get them from the plants, They have their own spirit, and they tell us.
It sounds to me as we wrap up this conversation that, Adam, you are open to UFOs, Bigfoot, and ghosts, and that they all might engage together in some type of single phenomena, where you're open to.
I'll tell you what. I think the universe is a playground. I think there's so much stuff out there that we don't know. I think science explains a lot of it. I think science is a lot of it, if you know what that means. I think those experiences are science. I think there are many dimensions. I think there are many lives that people live, whether they're longer or shorter. I think some of the things we experience in our lives are reflections of what happened in the past. And in order to fight through those, we have to make decisions.
I would agree with a lot of that.
And it's just
Absolutely.
like I was telling Riley before you guys got here. I'm so glad this
Okay,
is
we
an
were
hour.
late, everybody. Okay, I'm sorry.
I'm so glad this is an hour because you
Stop
guys
for
would be like,
coffee.
okay, Adam, it's time to stop talking because you could literally talk about this stuff till the sun goes down.
Well, and that's why we made this
you
podcast,
have
you
to,
know?
you literally have to make it an hour because if not, you'll just keep on talking about this
Well,
stuff.
we got a lot more to talk about too. When we come back,
Yes.
it's time for High Strangeness.
Yeah,
Oh, yes.
can't wait.
Well, I'm going to be excited to see how we can bring in today's topic of high strangeness
Oh,
into
yeah.
this conversation. Because Bryce is going to share with us today one of the most maligned and made fun of cryptids,
Yes.
I think,
And I love this.
in the business.
Right. And I
And-
love it because we're taking it back a little bit to old school. I mean, we've talked a lot about on this podcast, but we haven't explored too much Bigfoot, you know?
I know. I think we've done, maybe 3 episodes on Bigfoot. 2 on Bigfoot.
Maybe 2, I think.
We
yeah,
had
we did the
I was gonna say Osmond Spares, but the kidnapped by
Patterson?
Bigfoot.
Oh,
we did the
right, that's right.
And then we did the big footage,
yes.
and we've done Yeti and Dyatlov Pass.
Yes.
but we
So you're
haven't.
right, that's
we're
3.
getting back to our
get back to the roots.
our roots here.
Yeah.
So who do you have for us today?
Okay, well, I'm pretty excited about this. So, this is the story of the Myakka skunk ape. And I don't know if you're familiar, it's also known as skunk ape, swamp squatch.
Swamp squatch
Swamp
is cool.
squatch, Florida skunk ape, Louisiana skunk ape, skunky.
Now this is set in set
Yeah.
in Florida.
Yeah. So
It was the Mana.
it's the Myakka skunk ape. Now,
Myakka.
in February of 2001, a number of newspapers in Florida began to publish stories of an unnamed elderly woman's run-in with the much fabled and foul-smelling skunk ape. Now, the skunk ape is the supposed cousin to the West Coast's Sasquatch or Bigfoot. Catching the intruder by surprise in the middle of the night, old Granny snapped 2 photographs of what appeared to be a large, hairy, ape-like creature that had been reportedly stealing apples off her back porch. This all took place near the Myakka River in Sarasota County, Florida, over a period of a few days. Exasperated by the intrusions of this unusually nosy cryptid, she finally sent a letter to her local sheriff's department, including her 2 now infamous photographs of the ape in question.
Is this the photo?
This is the photo. I'll pass it along to
okay.
you guys. Adam, here you go. Take a
Oh
look.
yeah, there you go.
You can
Oh.
look at this. Here's one of 2 photos. Now, if you're listening at home, now would be a good time, if you're not driving in your car, to Google skunk ape photos so you can follow along with us.
It'll be on our Instagram.
As this portion of the podcast relies heavily on the credulity of these 2 photos. I'll wait. No, here we go.
So we have, I'm going to describe, there's what looks to be a Bigfoot-like creature that's almost like a shaggy orangutan that is dark brown, black matted, some gray highlights, hiding behind some sort of shrub.
Yeah, I think those are called palmetto plants
Okay.
local to native Florida. Back to Granny's letter, and I have it here in its entirety, and I'd like to read
here
it
we
to
go.
you now. So, that's just a copy. I have one here,
Okay.
but here we go.
This guy's kind of cute.
Yeah, he's pretty cute. Now, I was wondering, should I do
Quite
this
the
in my
underbite.
granny voice, or no? I'll just keep this. I'll keep this in
You
mind.
backed off that
my
real
my
fast.
question about this, it almost looks like is she in the grass in her backyard?
Well, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
It explains it right here in the letter, and I'll read it to you right now. Dear Sir or Madam, enclosed, please find some pictures I took in late September or early October of 2000. My husband says he thinks it's an orangutan. Is someone missing an orangutan? It's hard to judge from the photos how big the orangutan really is. It is in a crouching position in the middle of standing up from where it was sitting. It froze as soon as the flash went off. I didn't even see it as I took the first picture because it was so dark. As soon as the flash went off for the second time, it stood up and started to move. I then heard the orangutan walk off into the brushes. From where I was standing, I judge it as being about 6.5 to 7 feet tall in a kneeling position.
That's a tall ass orangutan.
As soon as I realized how close it was, I got back to the house. It had an awful smell that lasted well after it had left my yard.
Tall ass orangutan. Copyright Michael McMillian. New comic book character coming out
The orangutan
later this year.
Oh my gosh. The orangutan was making deep whoomp noises. It sounded much farther away than it turned out to be. If I had known it was as close to the hedgerow as it was, I wouldn't have walked up as close as I did. I'm a senior citizen, and if this animal had come out of the hedgerow after me, there wasn't a thing I could have done about it. I was about 10 foot away from when it stood up. I'm concerned because my grandchildren like to come down and explore in my backyard. An animal this big could hurt someone seriously. For 2 nights prior, it had been taking apples that my daughter brought down from up north off our back porch. These pictures were taken on the 3rd night it had raided my apples. It only came
Granny,
back...
put the apples in the fridge. Don't leave them out on the back porch.
It only came back one more night after that and took some apples that my husband left out in order to get a better look at it.
Why is everyone leaving the apples on the porch?
Michael, shh. We left out 4 apples. I cut 2 of them in half. The orangutan only took the whole apples. We didn't see it take them. We waited up, but eventually had to go to bed. We got a dog back there now, and as far as I can tell, the orangutan hasn't been back. Please find out where the animal came from and who it belongs to. It shouldn't be loose like this, or someone will get hurt. I called a friend who used to work with animal control up north, and he told us to call the police. I don't want any fuss or people with guns traipsing around behind our house. We live near 175, and I'm afraid this orangutan could cause a serious accident if someone hit it. I once hit a deer that wasn't even a quarter of the size of this animal, and it totaled my car.
And that deer only ate sliced oranges. I could never get it to eat a peach, and I don't buy grapes, so I don't know.
I love how I'm settling on like half Granny voice, half mine. Let me just, at the very least, this animal belongs in a place like Busch Gardens where it can be looked after properly. Why haven't been people told that an animal this size is loose? How are people to know how dangerous this could be? If I had known an animal like this was loose, I wouldn't have approached it. I saw on the news that monkeys that get loose can carry hepatitis and are very dangerous. Please look after this situation. I don't want my backyard to turn into someone else's circus. God bless. I prefer to remain anonymous. And that's the letter. And from that letter and those 2 photos, the Florida skunk ape legend was born.
That letter was worth reading in its entirety.
I know. Isn't that great? Because if you think about, like, if you're going to plan some sort of a hoax, I mean, I have a grandmother, and this sounds exactly how she would talk.
Brag.
Well, my grandkids come down and they play in that backyard, and I don't want anybody to get hurt.
It sounds a lot like the woman who is suing California to make Bigfoot, to establish that Bigfoot exists, is recognized by the Wildlife and Fish Department because she's kind of had the same point. She's like, I go hiking through here with my kids. There's like some weird giant Neanderthal creature hanging out in trees here. Like someone needs to start taking this seriously.
Yeah. And you know, Mike, I think you'll like this part. Famed cryptozoologist Loren Coleman managed to get his hands on the photos.
LC.
And was able to confirm they were taken in late October of 2000 and developed a couple weeks later at a nearby photo shop, then mailed locally to the Sarasota Police Department, you know, which in my opinion adds a little bit of credibility to the story.
Also, the fact that it's film. And like no grandma's popping out cell phone pictures.
Yeah, well, no,
so
and
I buy it more now.
It's so true. And they took this guy to a guy named David Bittner of Pixel Workshop. And I say these guys because there was also another guy, David Barksey, owner of a Reptile World Serpentarium nearby St. Cloud. And he's a member of Sarasota's Animal Control Division. So him and Coleman got together. And they sent the high-resolution scans to a film analysis, David Bittner of Pixel Workshop. Bittner said he was confident the photo was not tampered with, as in it's not a composite overlay or special effect, nor was it a cutout, meaning that the object has dimension and depth. Bittner had no comment as to what they might be.
Well, it almost, too, if you look at the first photo, I could be like, oh, that could be a taxidermy dummy. But then the next photo, there's like a different position. Its mouth is open.
Well, that's right. And it seems to move. Just like Granny says. It says on the second photo, it seemed to like move upwards.
Oh, yeah. It looks like it's standing up from a crouching position, opening its mouth.
And how about that eye shine?
See, exactly. That's what I was about to say. Like, that's a pretty damn good eye shine if that's a mask.
And the eye shine increases on the second photograph as well as the dentature, the
looks
teeth profile.
alive. Like, it looks alive.
You know, I've done the side by. So some people say, hey, this is like a display, like at Ripley's Believe It or Not.
Right. That's what I was saying.
I've seen the side-by-side photo of Ripley's orangutan and a Bigfoot, and it is nothing like this. Also, you know, some hoax people say, oh, this is a guy in a suit. Well, you know, you can look up Google ape suits, and there's really nothing in comparison.
He looks like my bulldog, Albie. He's cute. I like him.
Be a pretty large man. He'd be a
moreover-
pretty large dude if that's the case.
Yeah, I mean, just look at those teeth.
Well, I got two right here.
But you said that crouching down, she thought it was.
Yeah, she said stumping down, like, and because that's what like a deer does in headlight. They kind of like try and make their signature a little less
Over
known.
7 feet tall.
Yeah,
it's crouching down. So you stand up. I mean, you're looking at something that's maybe 12 feet, 13 feet tall.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh, Bigfoot's here.
the Bigfoot might be at the door.
There's a package. Riley, you got a package.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Australians are here, everyone.
All right. Well, should I keep going? I'll keep going. Moreover, this creature, costume or not, does exactly what a grape ape would do in this situation, according to primatologists.
grape ape?
Did I say grape ape?
You said the grape ape.
I used to love
Because
that.
that's a different creature entirely.
Yeah.
The great grape ape. Shout out, great grape.
Now-
Anybody remember that?
I do. Grape ape.
Grape
I
ape sounds like a grape soda.
Yeah, I know.
It was a Hanna-Barbera cartoon.
Hanna-Barbera, that's
right?
it.
Great
Yeah.
grape ape.
Yeah, and one of those icy pops too. That was their flavor, I think.
Yeah.
Now, from a strictly primatological behavioral abstract, the first photo would indicate the skunk ape was showing the full-toothed grin after the first flash, which would indicate fear. And then after the second flash, showing the scream face in an attempt to retreat. Fear followed by retreat. Textbook ape behavior. I mean, come on, people. Anyway, that's what I wrote down. Come on, people. So yeah, that is the Myakka skunk ape, and you know what's interesting? Like you said, the height of this thing, she said, is about 6.5 to 7 feet standing down. But it's kind of contrary to a lot of Florida skunk ape accounts because the skunk ape is supposed to be a little bit smaller than the actual Bigfoot or Sasquatch, normally ranging in a range from about 6 to 7 feet, climbing in trees and navigating their way through the swampy Everglades of Florida.
And she said that it stank, right? In her letter?
Yeah, she
did.
said that it stank and gave that whoop noise, which is very notorious now for a lot of these sightings. So you'll know Bigfooters love to go whoop, whoop.
Yeah.
They love to get out there and make their mating calls to the Bigfoot to see if they'll come. But these I think if you ask me, these photos stand up to pretty good
Did
scrutiny.
Coleman coin the term skunk ape?
Nobody knows where the term skunk ape came
The
from.
paper, did the paper that the letter?
No. And actually, let me see. I have it, but nobody really knows where the term. It's unclear who coined the name skunk ape, but it appears to have surfaced sometime during the 60s. During the 60s and 70s, the period when a lot of people were having their sightings, and then more started trickling in. Now, talking about indigenous tribes, the Miccosukee tribe of Indians of Florida is a federally recognized Native American tribe in the U.S. in the state of Florida, and they were part of the Seminole Nation. But they have long known told stories about the skunk ape for centuries. Floridians of all stripes began reporting that they were seeing the creature, and reports still continue to this day.
And we were sharing, I was out the other night eating by myself, which is what lonely men do
Are
sometimes.
you kidding me? Eating by yourself is one of the best
I
things
know,
in
it's
the world.
great.
I used to, when I was
It's
younger, I was
great.
like, this sucks. But now I'm like, dude, there's nothing better than
No,
this.
it's great. My girlfriend was working. I was eating dinner by myself, but Riley, Bryce, and I were trading skunk ape videos.
Yeah.
And we've, some listeners have sent some stuff in. There's like, you guys, Bryce, you found some really good ones.
I guess it was a 2001 video taken out of Lettuce Lake, Florida, where a guy named Matt's in his canoe. And he turns his camera on this thing that seems to be like making camp in a way. It's got this long arm with the fingers, and you see that kind of, and it's more like the original like skunk ape drawings. We'll have to put some up, but it's like a different face than the Bigfoot. And you could see this thing kind of moving around, almost like looks to see this canoe, and then it takes its way off back. And he said, in Matt's account, he said it went under the swamp water as it retreated away. So what's interesting to me is like, who the F is going to walk around barefoot in the Everglades because you've got water moccasins, gators
Yeah, that's so
galore,
stupid.
I mean, every kind of poisonous, venomous, man-eating, I mean, anything that could cripple your foot in a matter of seconds. and that's where they find these trackways, these like, and like Cliff was saying in his in this one on the mattress, they seem to be more of a wide foot. I mean, it's a different character.
My sister sent me a clip that I think I sent you as well, Bryce and Riley. Riley was, I think, in Reno, not paying attention to our cryptid footage.
Drinking Coors Light, going down the slopes
with the
silver
boys.
bullet.
Well, Riley went down to Reno.
Riley, we've got Bigfoot videos here.
And it showed like what looks like a very like primate type creature with its back sitting just like breaking branches off trees. But on some of these videos, even where the footage is very convincing, I find that the people filming them are not, like their reactions. That one felt a little Blair Witchy to me, like, oh, now you're gonna watch me run away and be scared of this thing. But the footage is compelling. I mean,
it was, and that dog was definitely barking.
oh, there's that one too. That was a Bigfoot sighting up in Minnesota or Michigan. That was a different one.
You know, it's always interesting. The animals are the tall tale. They're the sign.
Yeah.
You know, that's where, you know, animals are able to see what's able to see things just like small kids are, able to see things that adults don't see, or feel things that don't, you know. So I always look at the animals to see what their reactions
Another
are.
Bigfoot Collectors Club scientific fact.
Yeah.
No, it's true. And you know,
Animals see shit.
And they
Checks
also
out.
feel things like animals will know like
Everyone
if you're a
knows
good
that's true,
person or
though.
not. They're like, okay, they can sense energies, you know, and it's the truth.
well, I mean, there's
Yeah.
only so many great photographic evidence of the skunk ape, but there's a lot more testimonial accounts, and a lot of them start where, like, I think it was a black bear, and they're only told by the, you know, the people who are from there ain't no black bears out here, you know. And a lot of them have been said to, like, there were reports of like climbing the trees high to you know, get food up there, and then swimming in the swamps too. I thought that was very
That's
interesting.
cool. They're probably finding stuff under there.
Yeah, I mean, so it's just if you're at home or you're listening, look at those photos and just kind of I mean, it definitely, there's something.
We'll post all the
and we'll post them
fun,
on our social media accounts.
We'll
but-
get all those videos that we've collected.
But
over the past
you
few weeks
listen
and
to
put 'em
old
up.
Granny's letter, you know, and she and if you kind of put it under a little bit of scrutiny, like she says, she was out in the dark, you know, she didn't even see anything. She just used her camera to make
This
that flash.
looks like the flash illuminated whatever. This
She
thing
had no
was, and that's
idea
it.
what she was going to take a picture of until that flash fire, and boom, she sees that. And then she like takes one more and then scoots back to the house, you know. And I love how she's like, I think, you know, we all know monkeys carry hepatitis, so just somebody get after this.
Granny,
You
you're
know?
borderline racism here.
Well, no, I mean, and you know, obviously there is a semblance to the orangutan of this thing, and you know, if you know anything about it, there's no orangutans in Florida, so she photographed something. Who's to know?
Well, I went to Disney World and I saw some orangutans.
Yeah, well, that's what she says. I love this second line. Is someone missing an orangutan? You know?
Well, I
community
also
alert.
love Busch Gardens needs to figure this out.
Yeah,
you know?
this kind of creature belongs in Busch Gardens.
I'm sure that they would love to be there.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest.
I know. Busch Gardens. we have
Bigfoot
the
of Busch
first skunk
Gardens.
ape. Yeah.
That would be awesome.
So, you know, I think the East Coast is happy because they finally get to compete with West Coast.
To me, whatever this is.
Well, hold that thought, because when we come back, we're
Oh,
going to
yeah.
ask our guest, what the
Adam,
hell was that?
What the hell was
what
that?
the hell was that?
The hell was that? Hey everyone, this is Riley. The guys have been abducted by aliens, so I have to be the one to remind you that we're launching our Patreon campaign on March 28th. $5 a month will get you access to bonus episodes, exclusive posts, and more. We appreciate any support you can throw us, and don't worry, the show you've come to know and love will always remain free to download. So on behalf of the last Earthbound member of the Bigfoot Collectors Club, I want to say thank you for listening. I'm going out on the porch now to watch the skies for those pesky space goblins.
And
So it's time for what the hell is that? And I want to say, what the hell was that? We just got invaded by Australian rock stars.
We did. That was the Delta Rigs. They're dear friends of mine, and they're one of the greatest rock and roll bands around. If you don't know them already, look them up.
Sweet. Well, maybe we'll post something about them.
We could throw a link. They're
Throw a little-
definitely some space aliens.
And
I
they're
can tell
just-
you.
yeah.
Can I just say how cool their vibe was? They're like, "What's up, bro?"
Oh, I know.
I feel
man.
like we
I
were
love guys
visited.
who are like, "Hey, man, just got to get some symbols. Hey, you got any
They just came in and started taking things from the studio.
That's how well we know each other. So good at friends we are. I got a text this morning. It was like, "Hey mate, can we borrow a few things?" I was like, "Yeah, come by."
Yeah.
Just come in, a bass, a guitar, some drums, a pedal.
producer
You go
session in
fuzz,
LA.
mate.
That guy was
Amazing.
rad.
Yeah, totally.
Sweet.
Anyways.
I showed him the picture of this, the skunk ape. I said, "What do you think? Real or fake?" Fake. But he says we have a saying in Australia: "Never let the truth get in the way of a good story." And I said,
like that.
I like that.
They can tell some stories.
That
those
is
boys.
that
We
should
have
be
them
the
on one day.
motto. We're gonna that's the motto for our podcast moving forward. Never let the truth get in the way of a good story.
Speaking of the truth, Adam,
Yeah. What do you think the truth is behind these photographs and the account of the skunk ape?
Well, there's definitely something there. I always think to myself, I need to see an image of what these people look like. I need to see an image of what these people look like, just in terms of, I don't want to make a generalization, but you always wonder. You talk about like the people who shoot these videos. And,
oh
like,
yeah,
you turn around, like-
Granny, because it was an anonymous letter.
yeah, anonymous letter.
They have searched her out now. Lauren Coleman and David Barksey, they took high measures to try and
High measures?
high measures.
Now,
to try
how high were those measures?
Do I think that there's something there? Absolutely. Do I
Yeah.
think it's some sort of creature? I'm going to have to say it probably is. I don't know if it is. I mean, shadows can do weird things. I think the most important thing about this also too is that you have to be a skeptic as well too. You have
Oh,
to you
God.
have to really, really think about
When I
things.
do my
We
research-
Oh, yeah,
run
yeah, yeah.
very low on skepticism around here.
Well, when I do my research, one of the first things I'll look to is the skeptics, because
Yeah. Oh,
you
yeah.
know, they often offer some great like points which you can counterbalance, I believe, with the truth.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, like you think about it, like, okay, like if a Catholic priest performs an exorcism, there's an old saying that it's the Catholic priest that you have to get to believe it.
Right.
They go into it thinking this is fake.
Right.
That's the approach that the the Vatican tells them, that says, hey, this is the last possible thing that this
Yeah.
is. That's how they approach that. So I approached that particular photo with there's something there, but I'm gonna say it's not what. That's just my personal feeling.
Sure.
Does that particular creature exist? Could be.
I feel like you are stabbing us in the back right now. Like, just turning on us so hard.
No, but here's the thing, though.
Beware the wrath of the drunken 1940s dad strength.
the drunken rat. But do I believe
He snapped our podcast in half
all
with
of a sudden
single grip.
All of a sudden, the last day of the podcast, he was going great until that fucking guy came in here and fucking got drunk. And, do I believe that there is a Bigfoot creature out there? Absolutely, 100% exists. Do I think that he wants to deal with human beings? F no.
Does he want apples though? Free apples.
Have you tasted what an organic apple tastes
Oh,
like,
man,
or like a real one off the vine?
Have you ever had a swamp apple? That shit is good.
Yeah.
Yeah, but not the kind you get at Whole Foods. I'm talking
yeah.
about the kind like at Farmer's Market, like the organic
yeah.
kind, because apples originally are supposed to be this small. Genetic modification has made them this big.
True.
Like they're supposed to be this small, and so you taste that. You taste like the nutrients in it are just unbelievable. So if you are a skunk ape and I'm wrong, and then they do this, you're like, I'm gonna go after.
That's a
that.
bargain.
That's a bargain. Some old lady, and she's not gonna do anything.
No,
you know?
well, listen, we're talking about the Florida Everglades, which we were talking about the vast wilderness of the Trinity National Forest in the Washington area. Listen, the Florida Everglades are home to like, well, let me see here. A lot of like places where you could get lost. I mean, it's a vast area of undiscovered and kind of really unpopulated territory. If you're going to hide as a creature, and I've often
the
thought
thing.
like these
Yeah.
Bigfoot, they could smell you coming a mile away, right? So if I mean, there's
They may hear you vibrations in
Yeah.
the ground. They can hear that stuff. And,
No.
yeah.
A little known Bigfoot fact: their ears are in their feet.
that could be true.
True.
Bryce, I was thinking about this. Immediately when you said that, if you ever take a flight at night and you fly across the country, there are moments when you look down. If you're sitting by the window, you don't see any light.
Yeah. Yeah.
There you go.
No,
I
it's
mean,
very
that's-
true.
I mean, that's where you'd want to be if you wanted to hide from someone or not be seen.
I think it would be relatively easy. Now, I guess what gets me a little bit is you know, a lot of the vast majority of the reports of the skunk ape, and we'll have to look to some of these drawings that we'll post on our social media account, but they differ highly than this sort of orangutan looking creature. The Florida skunk ape has more of a compact head, larger kind of big opalescent eyes, and yeah. So I don't know. I'm in between as
This
well.
is tricky. I mean, this does look like something you would see at like.
And webbed feet. I've also read that
What?
Florida skunk apes, there's been webbed feet on some of those casts, having spent most of their time in the water.
Maybe that's why they
So
go
they weren't
swimming.
ever able to investigate like tracks or anything because she remained anonymous. So
No,
there's
yeah, she remained anonymous, and they were never able to find this lady, although they did try and track her down. But you know, like I said, that Lauren Coleman and David Barksey, they were able to determine that these photos were taken when they said they were. They were developed at a local photo shop and sent, just like she says in the letter, to the sheriff's department.
I mean, I believe there's something in this
There's
photo.
something in. I mean, that is absolutely
but
some sort of creature. in the
Is
photo.
it a costume or is it like a big, like fake taxidermy
Well, you know,
thing? But I don't know.
I
If
did a
if
little
there were just the one, like if there were just one of these, I would. But I like that the way it moves looks natural. The mouth and the head moving up. Like if it was a taxidermy thing, you'd have to make two creatures.
Well, that's the thing.
Maybe they did, but this
And
looks
listen,
like the same.
I don't know if you have, but I've Googled like orangutan suit, ape suit, gorilla suit, and
You monster.
there is not. I mean, there is nothing that even comes close to something that you could buy off of like, you know, eBay or Google or whatever on anything that looks, you know, anything close to like that.
I'm just happy these things exist. I'm just happy these types of photos exist, whether they're
Yeah, it's fun.
scams or not. Like, I don't know, because it is one of those things where it's like it really straddles the line between like believable and fake. And I guess that like Adam says, the easy thing you have to go is like, well, it's obviously a dummy, and you know you have to rule out. But again, as someone who has seen weird stuff they can't explain, I have a really hard time writing this stuff off 100%.
Yeah.
So you almost have to prove, just as much as I need you to prove that that thing is a real creature, I also need the proof of the costume. Like, bring me the costume, bring me the photos, bring me the dummy, show me that. And then I need both. You know what I mean? You have to prove it to me one way or another. Because if it's a hoax, that's a pretty elaborate hoax. So show me how they did that hoax.
Yeah. I found what I was looking for. At over 1.5 million acres, the Glades, the Florida Everglades, are the largest wilderness area east of the Mississippi, with thousands of acres untouched by man. If indeed something this strange could exist, it surely would be there.
Of course. Of course.
Great. Cool. All right.
But what's important too is, you know what? If she took that photo and she had that experience, it doesn't matter what we say.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I do.
Because to her, if that really happened, that's all. But that's where the fine line is. See, now it's like our experiences, like to us, are our experiences. Could they be something different? Could it be the mind playing a trick on you? Absolutely. But to us, they're important.
Well, that's great too,
Yeah.
because that makes me think of what Craig Ferguson said, which is like when we asked him about what do you think it is, he goes, "It's none of my business. It's not for me to know." And there is something sort of inherently that comes along with this territory that we should kind of stop and ask ourselves, like, who are we to judge? Like, why is it on us for us to decide that's real, that's fake, that's, let's just take, I guess one of the
Her
things I'm
account
trying
at
to
face
do with this
value.
podcast is I'm just trying to take these stories at face value, take them in, listen to them, and enjoy them for what they are. Now, obviously, we say, what the hell was that? What do we think? We want our guests to kind of weigh in. But at the same time, I think it's good to check ourselves and be like, why do, this community comes along with a fair amount of, judgment.
Sure.
And I think we have to go, okay, just let's not also be assholes by judging other people, and that's something that I can very easily fall in the trap to. In the trap, it's fun to make fun of these creatures and sometimes make fun of the witnesses who find them. But why are we, and I'm just putting this out there as a sort of existential question, why are we taking it on ourselves to call these people crazy or call this, why judge that harshly about
No,
it?
it's a great question. And, I've always said, I want this to be a mysterious world in which I live. I don't need to have the answers to these things, but the questions are always the most important things to me. What's out there? What's in here? What are these people experiencing? What are these photographs of? What are these video of those shape-shifting orbs in the sky that are outmaneuvering our jets?
Yeah.
What is this stuff? And I don't know.
Yeah. What
that-
is it?
I
That,
don't
that,
know.
And that is why this exists. It's like, what is it? You want to know. It's the excitement of knowing that there's something out there
Yeah.
that
Well, to me, there's just got to be something more than this life, and I don't know what that means on an existential basis,
No.
but I just honestly feel that that our nature, how we view reality, is illusory. I mean, I don't believe that, in my own personal view, that this materialist
Well, and what if
world we are living in.
What
is-
if this
is it.
creature? What if this creature only existed for that granny?
Yeah.
Right? And that the camera allowed her to capture that image. But I don't know. Like, the answers could be so much more complex than we even
Well, we've said it
imagine.
before. The observer plays a
Yeah.
huge part on these accounts. So
Are we? Or
Well,
do you got to roll?
No. I was holding up the phone because
Oh, I
was,
thought you were
was
showing
just,
us
I
the
was,
time.
I was thinking of yeah. Hey guys, guess what?
I was like, damn.
I gotta
that's
go.
good.
This
Yeah.
guy's up. This guy's up. What the heck? No, I was going to say, I was having a conversation before the podcast started about technology and about cell phones and about the cell phone frequencies. You have a cell phone next to your bed. The frequency is like 50 RF. That changes your DNA and molecular structure in your body, making your body just changes it up. When you look at your cell phone, it changes the shape of your spine into a U shape.
What?
So if you notice, you look at kids nowadays, their posture is changing. The spine is an S shape, a spiritual shape of connection, communication. What's the word? What's the yoga term I want to use? Being present.
sure.
The U shape is not. So what's happening is because of this, we are not able to think outside the box.
Well,
Are you saying the U shape is from like use, like bending over and like people having their heads down, or what?
Or
what do you mean?
radiation from the phone is changing our.
changing our DNA and our posture is changing because of our cell phones, because we're all looking down.
Oh,
So
gotcha.
kids, if you
Yeah.
look at teenagers, like I do teaching once in a while, and you look at kids, their posture is changing because of
Yeah,
of this.
slumping over.
I have
slumping
those. I have those Himalayan salt lamps in each room where the kids use their iPads because I know they're supposed to emit a sort of counterbalancing
Shit
field.
just
I
got-
got 3 of
Bryce,
those upstairs.
But what I was
Yeah.
getting
Shit
at,
just got new agey up in here.
what I was getting at is that don't you think that kind of blocks? I believe that frequency or whatever this is that we carry with us at every moment of the day now blocks certain things from, I don't know, from us seeing certain things. or
Possibly. I mean, I
don't
think
know.
on a very basic level, I mean, I almost hit a man with a car the other day because he was crossing the road looking at his phone and
Yeah.
just walked blindly out on the road. Fortunately, I was not looking at my phone. I was paying attention to the road, so I slowed down. But so on a very basic level, yes, phones are just a massive distraction anyway. So, and yeah, I think you're mixing in different frequencies. It could. I don't know. I'd have to know. I'd have to know more about how
There was that interesting
and
article
how that works,
that
but-
came out. Astronaut Scott Kelly and his twin brother Mark Kelly. They say spending a year in space altered his DNA up to 5 to 7%, which was pretty interesting. So yeah, DNA can be altered. It can evolve. It can change, and maybe there's some encoded messages in there which our cell phones are prohibiting. That's why I'm not on mine a lot. I want those messages, man.
I'm on it a lot because
you
I'm
keep-
trying to get this podcast out to the people.
Do you when you go to sleep at night, do you keep it close to you?
I've been
I
charging
tuck it in
because-
between my legs, nestled right in my taint.
My wife tells me,
And I say, good night, phone.
my wife says, put it on airplane mode when you go to sleep. That way it stops, because it basically goes radio silent when it's on airplane mode. So maybe that's some good advice to our listeners out
I've
there.
been thinking about keeping it charged in another room or
I do
whatever,
that.
putting it
Just
away.
using an alarm
And
clock.
just
Yeah,
getting an alarm
yeah.
clock because it's like, let's just get the alarm. I also don't like, guys, I don't like getting up in the morning and then the first thing I do when I turn off my alarm is I also see whatever news items and texts. And I'm just, sometimes I can just set the tone wrong.
I'm the same way. I told my
That's
wife
why
the
I do
same
that.
thing.
Boy.
That exact reason.
Don't
like,
go to that news
Trump
feed.
accuses Mueller. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Like, I need coffee and toast.
So if you are a creature in the wilderness, and why the hell would you want to communicate with us?
Yeah.
Because Granny's got good apples. All right, when we come back, it's time for Collector's Corner.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Bryce Johnson from Bigfoot Collectors Club. Listen, if you have a paranormal story, we want to hear it. Write to BigfootCollectorsClub@gmail.com with your paranormal encounter, and we just might read it on a future episode.
And we're back. Bigfoot Collectors Club. We not only collect short stories, short prose. We collect prose. We not only collect stories of strange around here, we also collect things ourselves. And that was a great setup. Adam, do you collect anything?
Gosh, do I collect anything?
Or did you?
Did I? Well, of course, I collected comic books when I was younger, baseball cards.
Seattle Mariners fan?
No, well, you know what? Actually, I'm starting to become more of
Okay,
a Mariners
cool.
fan. I'm a Seahawks fan, Northwest
Oh, yeah?
person.
Cool,
yeah,
cool,
you know.
cool. What baseball team were you into as a kid? It's
Kid-
baseball season
Baseball
again.
season, I think.
I think it's Royals opening baseball
Yeah,
tomorrow.
something. I
I'm
always like the
excited.
Mariners, but I think like there was something about the Red Sox, the Yankees, just because those teams are like the
Old
patriarchs,
franchise,
the
yeah.
patriarchs of baseball. I think for me, I like plants.
Oh,
I think plants
love
are cool.
plants.
I like to collect more plants.
Are you a nativist plant person? Do you collect a lot of like succulents and things you can grow easily in California, or are you just any and all plants?
No, man, just stuff that's like, I don't know, like I've always thought bonsai.
I just pictured like you're so casual about it. We cut to your home and it's just a
fall
forest
plants.
inside.
Well, I truly believe like my sister.
Like
my
you look like Skunk Ape sitting in your living room.
My sister collects a lot of plants. She believes, it cleans the air and stuff like that. I believe
does.
that too.
Absolutely.
I think the energy of plants are fantastic, having nature around you.
NASA believes that. They recommend that you keep, I think it's like 4 to 8 plants in your house. to
I need
clean
to.
the air.
Guys, let me tell you something.
I
I
have
was-
plants on my porch. I need to bring some more pants.
Gotta bring them inside.
And
If I
pants.
could
I need more pants.
If I could grow trees, like big redwood trees or big evergreen trees, I was driving down through Big Sur, California, on Saturday. Those trees, man, are like spiritual beings. They are alive. I it's like to say that like they're living. It'd be cool to have that.
Some of them are thousands of years old.
Thousands of years old. And here's what trips me out too. Like, long after I'm gone, they'll be there.
Just still there.
Like that landscape of those trees. Oh, they'll still be there.
Yeah.
Does that trip you out? Like I think about that, my like existence. Like I always find myself thinking about as I get older. I'm like, that tree doesn't give a shit about you.
No, it's true.
It doesn't care how you feel.
Well, my dad always loved quoting Reagan. If you've seen one tree, you've seen them all. Cut them down.
Oh my God.
He was not a fan of it. He was not a fan of it.
Well, speaking of cutting down trees, I brought a collector's item for today. Now, I will be signing these once this is airing after this, but this weekend I will have. I'm signing my brand new comic book.
Oh, yeah.
It's a preview copy, Adventure Van. This is
This is your comic.
Yeah, I'm going down this weekend to WonderCon. This airs after that. So this is my new comic book. This is just a 10-page free preview. This is going to come out this summer. And I brought one for everybody.
Oh, thanks,
Oh my
Mike.
God, this is awesome.
Yeah, it's a book about a guy who is segueing from adolescence into the adult world and discovers that he is the heir to a fantasy kingdom, much like Prince Adam is in Eternia, except he was, instead of like Luke was smuggled away to Tatooine, this kid was smuggled away to Earth. And instead of growing up to become a warrior king, he is sort of a guy who doesn't know what he's doing with his life. And now he's answering the call to his destiny.
Relatable.
He kind of looks like you, Adam.
He actually kind of does.
I was just like, wait a second.
So yeah, this is just a preview copy. Like I said, I was signing some at WonderCon. I was. We're in the time machine a little bit here, but I have
This is
extra
so great.
copies, and I wanted to say to any listeners out there, if you the first 5 listeners who DM us on our Bigfoot Collectors Club Instagram, I will send you a free copy to your home, so you can get your own copy, since you probably missed me at WonderCon this weekend. So the first 5 people who DM me, I'll send you a copy.
Oh, this
Right
is so
on.
cool.
This is great.
so
I
yeah.
need
This
to-
is
I need to
extremely
give him a
cool. I
link to
can't
my
believe
film.
it.
Thanks, man.
He's got to see the link to the.
But yeah,
Oh,
so
yeah.
this will be out in this summer. So this is just a free preview for now. But yeah, it's Adventure Van by
Congratulations,
Golden Apple
man.
Books.
This
Thanks,
is
dude.
awesome.
Where can people find your work, Adam? Where can people find? I'm sorry, not Confessions of a Superhero. What
It's
is it?
Once Upon a Superhero,
Thank you.
the movie. Right now, we're trying to figure out distribution.
Okay,
We're trying
cool.
to do that. So
If people want to check out your short
I
films,
can send you. I can send you a private link to check out.
where can listeners find your work?
Listeners, just go to IMDb.
Okay, cool. Where if people want to find you on social media, where can they?
Adam_Marcinowski at Instagram.com.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Cool.
I'm not
Great.
a big. I'm more of an Instagram person than
Yeah.
I'm like a Facebook
We are
person.
too.
We
I
are
feel like
too.
I feel like it's better. I don't know. I
We're-
haven't been on Facebook in years.
We have a fun Facebook page for the podcast, but otherwise, I've been dropping off Facebook massively. So I'm doing
I
it for you
personally
guys.
think Facebook is.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
tied up in a little controversy. Hey, I'll shout out the short film that Adam and I were in, Lucidia, and you can find it
Yeah.
on my website, BryceJohnsonActor.com.
And I will post that on our Facebook page
and it's
too,
full
on the Bigfoot
version,
Collectors
and
Club.
it's about lucid dreaming, a subject I'm fascinated with. So check it out.
Cool.
I think you'll enjoy it.
Yeah.
Cool. I started a new project. I'm really into ambient music.
Oh,
wow.
So I've started a thing. It's called Peace Drone. So I'm just at Peace Drone on all the things.
Riley,
It's a
wow, we
it's a
didn't know.
live ambient music broadcast.
Oh, cool.
I just started doing. I've done 3 of them so far. So if I don't have an exact date or time when I do decide to broadcast pinned down, but
Okay.
everything stays archived. So
Oh, that's cool.
Okay.
if you
we'll
want to
get
check
those
it out,
links up.
it's sort of like audiovisual wallpaper for relaxation.
And Riley, if we
contemplation.
just want to come hang out here, can we do that too?
totally, totally.
If I want to just sit back and and forget about life, I'm going to come in here. This is awesome.
This is the
That's
place.
I came in here the
basically
first
what
time.
we do
I came in here and
every
I was
Monday.
like, this is where you have a podcast.
That's
Yeah.
exactly what I thought.
Synchronicitous. in that sense.
Synchronicitous is absolutely right.
And you can find me on Instagram, McMills, McMillzzz. As always, I want to thank our guest, Adam. Thank you so much for coming in and
Yep.
sharing your time and your stories with us. Riley, thank you for all the hard work you do.
Thank you,
Bryce,
guys.
thank you for all the hard work you do. And thank you for sharing. There you go.
Yeah, thank you so much, man. I just want to say, thank you for creating the environment where it allows you to share those stories.
Awesome.
It's important too, because you really got to, you got to make people feel it. You got to
Yeah.
make them understand that these things are out there and they do exist.
Oh man,
and you
thanks,
shouldn't be
man.
afraid to tell people about it because,
Hey,
They're
we're in
out there.
Hollywood. We're not
Yeah.
afraid of being called crazy.
yeah, totally.
And I want to thank you so much. And I want to thank, this is a lot of this is the new section called Thank You, to Suneaters for our music from the song Come Alone, courtesy of Lotuspool Records. And once again, everybody head over to Patreon. If you can chip in $1 a month or $5 a month, we really, really, really appreciate it.
Truly.
It helps us just keep the show running.
And we promise to deliver on that.
Yeah,
extra special
we have some
content.
awesome stuff coming up for you. I already have the special plan for April, and I'm excited about it. We've got another road trip that we're cooking up, and summertime's chock full of fun cryptid
yeah.
stuff. So we're going to be expanding the scope of the show over the next few months, and I think you guys are gonna be really, really happy. And your donations will help us get gas money to get places and do all this stuff. We just want to cover the cost of the show. So thank you so much. Thanks for listening. And you know what? If you can't chip in, we get it. You're just just Bigfoot karma goes down a little bit. But no, we want to
that
thank
note.
we want to thank you, the listeners, for giving us a shot and for listening. We love you guys, and we will be back next week with a brand new episode of Bigfoot Collectors Club.
Till
Bye
then.
bye.
See ya.